Hello and welcome to another guide. In this time is about the limited Lupusregina, also known as the Blade Team Lupusregina or the SSR Lupusregina. We're gonna go and talk about her skills, the, the teams or compositions you can play her with, what is the recommended attribute and sub-attributes to upgrade on Lupusregina. I'm also going to explain a little bit about how her skills can make combo synergize with other character skills. We're also going to talk about what are the recommended relics, the enhancements, a little bit of the awakening level, the runes, and overall a bit of everything about the character. So, yeah. First off, as you can see, my Lupus Regina is not maxed. It's not 6 stars, neither is the Arclight. Is only 5 stars. It's close to the 6 star. In some days, I'm gonna be able to get her max stars, but anyway, I have her at a very decent level, and I have played her enough to know what will be the best combos with her and everything. So don't worry about that. And well, first off, the basic attributes, we can see that she is good, but not incredibly good. So HP, defense, specifically physical defense and attack, are A grade. It's good. It's not the best, but it's very good. Speed and magical defense is B, is just like mediocre. So that gives us a little hint of what we should be able to upgrade on her, alongside her being a warrior. That means that she usually, well, the warrior class characters are usually kind of balanced on all of their stats. So yeah. Uh, The Arclight, it's a very easy one. It's limited Arclight, so you cannot get it on the store, sadly. But what it does is that when she's alive in battle, the bleed damage nullifies the target percentage defense. At 1 star is 30% defense and increases 6% by each additional star. So it's a very good Arclight, very simple effect, but also a very effective one. Sadly, that is a limited Arclight, so you cannot try to get it uh, like a normal Arclight. As well as the character, the character is limited, so you have to get it just in the 20 days of the event, or you're not gonna have her. So for the ones that have this Lupus Regina, or already got her by mere luck or something like that, and are thinking in upgrading her or not, well, here we are gonna see if she's really good or is not. But uh, the Arclight already tells us she is good in the bleed teams. She is good for the bleed compositions. Stars, we're gonna go with the basic. 3 stars is how you get the character. 4 star is not difficult to get, so we're gonna see that upgrade. And when we get to the ultimate, 6 stars, it's not the recommended because you need a lot of resources or a lot of time. So if you get Lupus Regina into 4 or 5 stars, that is more than enough. The Arclight, if you were able to get multiple stars of her Arclight, that is uh, even better than the stars of the character itself. So we're gonna take a look very quickly at the accessories. We can see that at tier 3, 6, and 9, we get 20% counter rate, 10% more HP, and 5% damage boost. That is a little bit balanced. We have more damage, more health, and the possibility to counter the enemy's attacks. So that means that she can be combined with a little bit of a counter team, and she can also fit there. Now the skills. The basic attack, she does certain amount of damage depending on the level you have her. In my case, is level 4, max level is 5, and has 100% chance to inflict 1 stack of bleed for 2 rounds, the normal duration. And also, she has a fixed chance of 50% of triggering bleed. That is very good because bleed usually, with let's say more normal characters, only procs when the enemy turn arrives. When the enemy is about to do a move, trigger bleed. Bleed triggers. Sorry, trigger bleeds. I'm crazy. But this character has also the chance to trigger the bleed effect on the enemy when she does a basic attack. But it's a fixed chance, so that a fixed chance is not influenced by effect precision or effect resistance. However, the basic chance of putting bleed, that is influenced by the effect precision and effect resistance. Uh, we're gonna go with the second skill now, or second attack. She does a two-hit attack with uh, doing certain amount of damage on each hit, depending on the level. It starts at 45, ends at 50% attack, and each hit has a basic chance of certain percentage of inflicting stack of bleed for 2 rounds. Can go from 75% basic chance to 100% fixed chance. So it will be good to upgrade this skill to the max, more than even the basic attack, I will say. The passive now, when she is present and alive in the battlefield, the damage that everyone on your team is going to do to the enemy targets that have bleed increases by a certain amount. Starts at 9% and ends with, well, it starts with 6% more damage, ends with 12%. Now I have her with only 9, but it's good enough. So that means that when someone has bleed, is gonna receive even more damage if this Lupusregina is alive on the battlefield. Next point, when an enemy target with bleed dies, the stacks of bleed of the enemy transfer to another with the fewest bleed stacks. That means that, let's say there are two enemies left in the battlefield. One has 3 bleed stacks and the other has 10. So if you kill, or the bleed kills the enemy that has the 10 bleed stacks, the bleed stacks are gonna transfer to the other enemy that is alive, in this case, the one that has 3 stacks of bleed. If there were more enemies and other has less stacks, like 2 or 1, uh, the bleed from the enemy that has been killed is gonna transfer to that one. And also, bleed gets triggered when it gets transferred from one enemy to another. So there's another way to trigger bleed before it's the turn of the enemy to trigger bleed. Also, with each time that bleed gets transferred, the upper limit of bleed for the enemies is increased by 1. Usually, bleed can only be stacked 10 times, like that is the normal cap. But with this Lupus Regina, you can increase the cap even 5 more times in my case, because when you have her max, you can increase it up to an additional 10 more stacks. But also, for that to be triggered, you need to either kill multiple enemies or do the second condition, that is, for each, in this case, 8 times can be upgraded to 5 times with 6 stars. For each amount of times, or certain amount of times, that bleed gets triggered on the enemies, the limit of the bleed stacks increases again. So 5 more additional stacks that convert in 10 additional stacks when you have her 6 stars. So she can increase the limit of bleed stacks, she can trigger bleed, she has a fixed chance of putting bleed on the enemy, and she can transfer bleed from one enemy to another. So she eliminates the usual problem that early bleed teams have, like you have a boss fight, put all your bleed stacks on the boss, you kill the boss, but the minions are still alive, and because you kill the boss, the bleed stacks get lost with the boss. Well, Lupus Regina solves that problem because she transfers all the bleed to another character, another enemy, so you still have like the bleed stack on the enemy, so characters like Ocutus that do more damage to enemies that already have bleed can still perform at their maximal potential. Now with the ultimate, the Night of Hunting, she launches a 3-hit attack, dealing certain amount of damage. That is a decent amount of damage. It's not the best, not the worst. And she also has some basic chance to inflict stack of bleed for each hit that she does. So she can put, if you get lucky, 3 bleed stacks with this attack alone. Also, using the ultimate has a basic chance of inflicting the wolf blood mark and healing block. Healing block, well, we know what is that. The enemy cannot heal unless it gets purified with something like Pestonia or Anniversary Albedo or something like that. The important part is the wolf blood mark. That means that is the buff that cannot be dispelled. So things like what I just said, like Pestonia Ultimate, cannot purify this thing. And what it does is that converts 30% of the bleed damage that that enemy in particular takes into healing for Lupusregina. It's kind of like the Vampire Bride skill. One of the Vampire Bride skills, I think, is passive, or the Arclight, one of those, is that when bleed triggers, based on the amount of damage that bleed does, all of her allies get healed. Well, this is similar. 30% of the damage that the enemy received for bleed is gonna be converted into healing for Lupus Regina. So she has a little bit of sustain herself. Next point is that using the skill has a basic chance of increasing the duration of bleed by 1 round and triggering it. So there's another way of triggering bleed with Lupus Regina before it's even time. So you can proc it with the Scarlet Fang and also then the Crimson Moon Walks and the Night of Hunting before the enemy turn comes and bleed gets activated once more. Also, after the target with Wolf Blood Mark, the one that you throw the ultimate at. After that target takes action, Lupus Regina launches this Scarlet Rod at the enemy, and that is damage equal to certain amount of percentage, in this case 75% attack, and it's a hit that has 100% basic chance of inflicting 2 stacks of bleed on the enemy. When you upgrade it, the total damage increases from the 3 hit attack from 78 to 86%, and the basic chance also increases. Well, now we're done with the skills. What does it mean? Well, means that she is the only character that can increase the maximum amount of bleed stacks that you can put on the enemy. It means that she, alongside normal Cocytus, I think, are the only characters that can proc bleed before its time with her skill set, and she is also like an increasing. She's like, yeah, she's like an entire or general buff to all the bleed team, because only because of her arc light, she's already increasing the bleed damage because it nullifies a certain percentage of the enemy defense, and she can also put bleed in all the enemies because her second skill, the Scarlet Fang, hits all the enemy targets. So she can do area of effect. She can do a multi hit on a single enemy with the ultimate. Uh, Once she has the ultimate on someone, she can do kind of like a counter, because after the enemy takes action, she goes and attacks again. And not only that, but all of her skills can put from 2 to 3 bleed stacks. So she's already good. She's a very, very good bleed team member. Now, the easy part now, awakening levels. As you can see, I only have her at level 15, and I don't really have upgrades on her gems. But what I would recommend you is this that I have here. My normal albedo, or the mage albedo, is the one I'm gonna use as an example. If you can give the energy gem attack, the one that increases the attack by a percentage, not by a flat amount, that will be the best, because increasing the attack by 2.5% for second, for example, in this case, on a character that has more than 5k attack, is way more than just giving a gem that gives plus 12 attack. Just a flat amount is not enough. Um, Also, the Mighty Gem effect precision is very good. All the Bleed team members need effect precision to some degree, unless you have a specific character that is the one that you know is gonna put Bleed or increases the effect precision of everyone else. I'm gonna get into more detail about this in the last part, I think, when I talk about the team compositions and everything. But taking consideration that giving effect precision to Lupus Regina is never bad. Well, to this specific Lupus Regina, not to the other one. If you can give her more attack, go ahead. The last 3 gem slots, the majority of people do not have it because the levels are way too hard for free to play people. So put whatever you have. Like, as you can see, I don't have a lot of things to choose there, and I have my albedo with those slots already open, because you can upgrade her by the expedition, not the realm of shadows. Like, For example, other characters I cannot. So in the last three slots, put whatever you have. In the first three, try to upgrade her attack and effect precision by percentage. Next thing, the relic set. As you can see, what I have here, or what I have on her, is the termination set, the sparkle version, the prismatic quality one. I will say that is the best. The game tells that the recommended sets are Bermuda, Execution, and Desolation, and really they're not bad. Like Bermuda gives you a little bit of crit and a chance to reduce skill cooldown. Yeah, that is useful because you can have the ultimate more often or the second skill more often. That means an area of effect attack that is gonna put bleed on everyone. It's not bad. Execution set is that gives you extra attack and you do even more damage to enemies that have a debuff. That is good because bleed is a debuff. She puts bleed very easily. She puts the wolf blood mark, that is also a debuff that cannot be purified or dispelled. So she's always gonna have the execution effect active, and she's gonna always do that extra 15% more damage, or 20% if she has a sparkle set. So that is good, yes. Desolation is also good. It gives certain amount of extra effect precision on the attacks. It's between 50 and 20% on normal quality, 75 or 30% with sparkle set in damage over in sorry area of effect attacks or single target attacks. That means that she's gonna be having an easier time putting bleed on the enemy, and because the solution set gives you another effect that is having a chance of putting extra damage over time effects on the enemy, she can also put burn or put shock on the enemy or even extra bleed stats if you get lucky. It is not bad, honestly, but those will be like the secondary sets for me. The one that is the best, I will say, is Termination set by a lot. And why? Well, first off, it gives crit 15%. Is not the best, honestly. It's not what I'm gonna recommend you, but it's a nice plus. The real part is the effect. It nullifies 30% of the target defense. I recommend it just because of that, because we can combine the 30% defense nullified for the Termination set. We can combine that with the extra. Let's imagine this arclight only has 1 star instead of two. It will be 30% defense that is nullified by the determination set, plus another 30% defense nullified for the bleed damage. And remember that she can proc trigger. She can proc or trigger the bleed during her turn, during her attack, not only when the enemy is gonna take action. So you can make the bleed damage ignore 60% of the target defense only with a termination set on prismatic quality and 1 star arc light of her. If you have the arc light at 4 stars or even 5 stars or something like that, even 3 stars, you're already you're already over the 70% nullified defense when bleed takes action, when bleed deals damage. And it's not only that, but the 30% that determination gives you, it will also apply to your normal attacks. There's skills that you throw that do not trigger bleed. So you're not only uh, upgrading her bleed effect, like you're not only boosting her bleed damage, but also her intern normal damage. I will say that is enough to put termination set as the number one for her, like the priority one. Now the attributes. I'm gonna say my termination set on her is not the best because I do not play with her a lot. Like I use her from time to time here and there because I collect characters and so on, but she is not one of my main characters. As you saw at the start when I scrolled through the characters, she is not between even my first 10. So my best items are not on her, but still I can give you pretty good. Like for example, Entoma. I use Entoma a lot, and you can see the quality of Entoma. or the item that I have on Entama compared to the one on Lupusregina. Is quite a big difference, but still. I have Determination Mask on her, and everything has an A. Magical defense, speed, damage boost, and critical damage. From here, what is useful? I will say damage boost and speed are the ones that are useful. That's why I have it on her. Uh, my Termination armor is a bit worse in the rating, but it's better on the sub attributes. It has A on attack, A on damage boost, B on critical chance, and B on HP. From here, everything is useful. The priority one is either attack or damage boost. Then I will prioritize HP, and as a third one or the last place, crit. But the four that are here, that is the ideal one. Also, the enhancements that you can see here, the one that it says Riddle with Holes, is also the main enhancement that you should look on her. But I will go into detail in a little bit more. Here, I don't have a Termination Blunderbuss, so I have a Hellfire Hammer, but still, to have the set effect, you only need 3 pieces, so I could afford me to put her another thing. She has B on speed, A on critical chance, S on HP, and S on attack. This is also ideal. Like here, we're changing damage boost for speed, and it's still great. Attack is the main one because bleed does more damage the more damage or the more attack your character has, because the bleed damage gets the bleed damage is based on certain percentage of the attack of the character that is inflicting the bleed effect. So the more attack Lupus Regina has, the more effective her bleed is gonna be. So yeah, attack priority one. Speed is B. Yeah, B is not the best, but it's still a little bit of extra speed is not bad. As we saw, she has B rate on speed. That means that she's a little bit slow. She's not the slowest like Estonia, for example, but she's a bit slow. So giving her a little bit of speed will help her to keep up, so she doesn't get outrun by everyone on the third mirror. So it's not bad. HP is always good for every character in the game, so they doesn't get one shotted by a Momon ultimate, a Seshi ultimate, or things like that, or an area of effect combo from three ultimates, Albedo, Entoma, and Shizu, something like that. So yeah, HP is always good. Do not prioritize HP, but if you see HP, do not look down upon it. But attack is your main priority. HP is good. Critical chance, not bad, not bad, because if you crit with Lupus Regina, you're still doing more damage than a normal attack. So it's just good. Crits also can put effect status or debuffs. So even if you crit with Lupus Regina, you're still putting bleed stacks on the enemy. You can still have the chance to trigger bleed on the enemy and all of that. So yeah. Uh, Last is termination based. Not a very good relic on the ratings, but is what I have. Beyond critical damage resistance, we are not interested in that. Beyond damage boost, good sub attribute. A on speed, A on attack is always welcome. It's not bad, and as we can see on the base stats, she has over 6k attack with only 30k of combat power. Like, she is not even close to go against the best players, let's say, of the servers and so. But still, she has a very good attack. She has almost 50% crit without natural crit from accessories or something like that. It's not bad. If you are able to get her more than 50%, will be good. But if you don't worry. Like like I said, your priorities are attack, as much attack as you can. If you can also put damage boost there, add it. Like attack damage boost priority one, priority two HP, so she doesn't get destroyed in a single attack by the enemies. In case that you don't have someone like Anniversary Albedo that can revive the allies and put an invulnerability or things like that. So attack damage boost number one, HP number two, number three. I will say between speed and effect precision. If you had Lupus Regina to increase the overall bleed damage, you can ignore the effect precision if you use another character to put bleed instead of her, like I do. So you could ignore that in favor of another stat. But if you are relying on Lupus Regina to pull the stacks to reach the 10 stacks of lead on the enemy and so, then focus a little bit more on effect precision and leave last the speed. If you can guarantee that Lupus Regina will survive the rounds, you have a very good tank or multiple tanks or someone, some priest or support that can assure you that Lupus Regina is not gonna get killed during the enemy turn, then you can leave speed as the last place. But if you cannot guarantee her safety, then your priority number three is speed. So at least she can play, do a little bit of damage before she gets killed or something like that. So yeah, focus on attack, damage boost, HP, and lastly, you decide, depending on your composition, between speed and effect precision. Now, the enhancements. I, for example, here, Blade Drown, this one, is one of the basic ones that you should have. Uh, I will say level 6 will be the appropriate one because then you're getting the extra bonus of 8% plus attack. If you can get it to level 10, well, that will be the best. But realistically, get it to level 6. I have Impeccable, is not useful here. Endless Cycle is not bad, so she also gets HP. She doesn't get destroyed as easily, and so. So, for example, here, right here, is a good example. You have Blade Round as one of your enhancements. There's extra attack. You have Endless Cycle, extra HP, and you have one of the special effects or special enhancements that are a little bit more rare to obtain. The Riddle with Holes. Level 1, if this primary target has bleed, there is a 16% fixed chance to trigger the target's bleed. Like the basic attack of Lupus Regina or her ultimate that have a chance to trigger bleed before its time. Well, this is the same. This is the same effect, but can be applied to all of her attacks. So even her second skill can proc it and things like that. Or you can throw a basic attack with Lupus Regina. She triggers the enemy blade with her skill set, and if this activates, it triggers it again. So you can trigger it twice in the same turn. So if you can get it, of course, level 2, 3, 4, even 5, get it. Realistically, I think you could get it to level 2 or 3 if you focus on using resources on her, like your elixirs and so. But at least one level to get the chance of extra damage and triggering again, yeah, that will be good. Also, if you get one level of one hit kill, is not bad. It increases the area of effect skill damage by 5% in level 1. It's not bad because her second skill is an area of effect, so this increases the damage of that. And if you play her with something like the Vermare set, or you use Pestonia with this Lupus Regina and she reduces their cooldown, or even the tank Cicera that reduces cooldowns from time to time, you will get the second skill of Lupus Regina faster than usual. So if you use those characters with her or Vermare set, this extra damage on the second skill will be very, very good. So yeah, what I recommend is the Endless Cycle for more damage, for more HP, sorry, the Blade Drown for more damage, one hit kill to upgrade the second skill of her, Riddle with Host so she can proc bleed even more than usual, as a nice little extra, the Almighty Penetration. That is that if the primary target has defense down, 10% of all the skill damage is converted into HP. It's like life steal. And the more levels you have, the more of the damage that she does is gonna be converted into HP for her. And this combines very well with her ultimate effect that puts the Wolf Blood mark. So she heals part of the bleed damage that the enemy has. So she becomes a little bit more resistant. So even if you don't have a healer on the team, she's gonna be able to be a little bit more in the fight that you will expect. And if you combine that with a vampire ride, and the vampire ride doesn't die early on the match, you get even more healing from bleed and all of that. So yeah, those will be the things that I will recommend you. If you don't want, let's say, these stats, you can use my albedo stats as a reference. For example, here with an S on attack, a little bit of effect precision is not bad. You could try to get something like this. You have attack, you have speed, you have effect precision for the bleed effect. This one, for example, will be very good for Lupusregina. You have speed, you have HP, you have damage boost, all of those in great amounts, and a very high amount of effect precision in a single upgrade. Also here, more speed, more effect precision, more attack. Like that will be really good if you want it as reference. But if you want a Lupus Regina based on crit damage, that is also viable. It's not the best, but it's viable. You can use my Mate Albedo sub attributes as reference. You still upgrade attack, speed a little bit, and crit as your main here. As you can see, more crit, more attack. Effect precision for her blade will be good. You see more speed, more crit, more damage boost, and more crit, more attack, more speed. Like those are your three variations. You upgrade her attack, her HP, and her effect precision, or you upgrade her attack, her damage boost, and her speed, or you go full crit. And as you can see, what I chose was uh, attack, HP, and a little bit of crit. Well, a little bit, more than a little bit. And I left effect precision because I have a composition that doesn't need her to have effect precision. Now, characters that you can play her with is the usual. The Bleed team is perfect with Lupus Regina, and all members of the Bleed team combine very well. Here is one of them. We have Pretty Little Entoma. She's a Bleed team character. She's based on crit. She's a fast, heavy hitter. So she puts bleed. She puts a debuff that makes bleed undispellable. So that benefits Lupus Regina. So she will be able to proc it. She will be able to increase the damage and the max stacks. Always good. The other Entoma, the SR version, you can use ultimate and then the first skill of Entoma. And if you have her with good effect precision like I have, she's gonna be able to put 5, even 6 or 7 stacks of bleed in a single attack. So if you're against a boss or you don't have a lot of bleed team characters and you have Entoma, you can use her in the bleed team and she will be able to put a lot of bleed in a single enemy. And if you have her with the solution set to increase her effect precision, she could also put shock and burn more easily, even with her first skill. Pestonia is really good here. There is not a single character that Pestonia is not helpful. She can be combined with everyone, literally, because of her arc light and her ultimate. Her ultimate purifies someone, heals it, gives that specific target more turn mirror boost, so it has literally a turn right after her the majority of the time, and she reduces the cooldown of one random skill by one. And if you get lucky, she does that again. So you can do something like, for example, wait for your first turn, ult with Lupus Regina, then you get to Pestonia turn, you use the ultimate on Lupus Regina, she gets healed, she gets purified, she gets an increase in her turn meter, so she plays again. Lupus Regina has a second turn right after Pestonia, the majority of the time, depending on your speed, of course, but almost always happens like that. And you're gonna have either your ultimate with one round of cooldown reduced by Pestonia, Arclight, and another because it's already Lupus Regina's second turn, and you have to wait only one round to ult again, or you got lucky and Pestonia reduces the cooldown by 2 rounds, then the third one gets reduced because Lupus Regina got a new turn, and then you can ult again. So like you can make Lupus Regina have two ultimates in a row, and even before the enemy ends their own first 4 turns or first 4 moves. The only bad thing is that Pestonia will only work for that. Like she doesn't put bleed or something like that, but she can enhance Lupus Regina capabilities. And she also makes the one that she heals, in this case Lupus Regina, to put silence on the enemy. So you put a little bit of control. Another one that gets combined with her very, very good is Cocytus. This version mostly, the original, the SSR. He puts bleed on the enemy when the match starts. She can also, as a captain, can put a chance of inflicting bleed on everyone's attacks, even on his allies. So he facilitates inflicting bleed. He does more damage to bleed targets with his execution skill. He can put how it's called grievous wounds and high tier grievous wounds. That means that increases the bleed damage and also increases the doesn't increases uh lowers the healing that the enemy receives. Also, he can be a single focus or single target attack character, or also an area of effect, depending if you rely more on his execution skill or the traitor's end, that is his ultimate. Basically, Cocytus does extra damage to enemies that already have bleed. He puts bleed at the very start of the match as an advantage. Doesn't even need to have his first turn. He can increase the bleed damage that the enemies receive. All of that combines with Lupus Regina. He does more damage to targets with bleed. Lupus Regina puts bleed. Cocytus increases the bleed damage. Lupus Regina Arclight increases the bleed damage by nullifying percentage of the enemy defense, and increases all the times that she is gonna proc the bleed. Support Shelter also can be combined. Basically, what she does is that increases the attack and the effect precision of her allies, as well as giving shields. She will be giving shields to whoever needs it. In this case, Lupus Regina, so she survives longer in the field, increases a little bit her attack and her effect precision, so she can put bleed easier. Another character is Yellow. This one, he's a tank from the bleed team. He goes in the middle between one of his allies and the enemy's attack. So he blocks attacks like Yuri, like the PDL does. He does the same. So he provides protection with his ultimate. Sorry, with his ultimate, he can put bleed on all the enemies, and also he heals himself while inflicting bleed. So you can kind of rely on him as your only tank in certain compositions, and don't worry about that. And he has great defensive capabilities. So a tank that can put bleed is is great. And as you can see, I have this tank with a lot of effect precision. So in certain compositions, I can rely on Yaldabaoth putting bleed on the enemy before Lupus Regina even has to. So that's why I choose not to go and put effect precision on her relics. The Dead Knight doesn't look like a bleed team member, but he is a bleed team member. He inflicts bleed on everyone that attacks the Dead Knight when he has his ultimate active. It's not the best, honestly, because his protection capabilities are not great, honestly. But as an early game tank, he's really good because he can be really annoying to the enemy just because how hard he can be to kill. Like really. On high level play, he's almost useless, but early game, use it. Do not be ashamed. The Dead Knight is nice. One of the others that I will say is the best to be combined with Lupus Regina, aside of normal Cocytus, is this one, is the Vampire Bride. She can put bleed on the enemy with the ultimate, the Spectre of Blood. She can also put bleed, the Vampire's Hand. She can put bleed on characters that have certain percentage of HP missing. And she can put the Vampire's Hand, basically is that a debuff that when her or her allies attack the enemy that has the Vampire's Hand debuff, they will heal a percentage. They will heal 6% of their max HP. Another of the things that is great is the captain skill. I will say if you have Kokiros and the Vampire Bride on the same team, the one that should be the captain is her because she has the best captain skill in the entire bleed team. When she is alive in battle, increases the bleed damage by 20%. That is a lot, because just think about it. You will have these three characters, the Vampire Bride, normal Cocytus, and Lupusregina in the same team. In this case, the fastest one is gonna be her, the Vampire Bride, because she has A on speed. Cocytus has like B or C, Lupusregina has B. So by mere leveling up, she's gonna be the fastest, and well, the faster one here. And with a little bit of relics, you can keep her as the number one to play on your team. She will inflict bleed with her ultimate, at least between 1 and 2 stacks to everyone. Cocytus already has 2 stacks on everyone else, just by his advantage alone. So, when bleed gets triggered either by Lupusregina, either by Cocytus, or by the enemy's taking turn, Lupusregina Arclight at 1 star is gonna make bleed nullify 30% of the enemy defense. Combined with the termination set that she will have, that will make another 30% of the enemy defense get ignored. That is a 60%. 60% that will be like a damage increase to the bleed damage. 60% plus the 20% of uh, damage increased by the bleed. Well, for the bleed. So you have kind of like an 80% of increased damage to the bleed. That is kind of wild, honestly. Because if you do that against enemies that do not have resistance to damage over time, they don't have level up or upgraded that stat, they're gonna suffer. Even tanks are gonna suffer. And also her Arclight, the vampire's kind, when she is alive and in battle, every time that bleed damage is dealt, restores HP equal to 12% of the damage for all allies. That means that every time that the enemy turn arrives, they take bleed damage, or every time that Cocytus triggers bleed by using his ultimate, or every time that Lupusregina triggers bleed by her attacks or her relic with the Riddle with Holes enhancement, every single time they're gonna heal, as long as the Vampire Bride doesn't get killed. So that is honestly very very good. Another that is not seen as a bleed team member is this one, is Isira. She has a chance to put bleed on each of her hits with the ultimate. It's just that. Not a lot, but if you want early game, there you have it. Um this one, the Robo Hamuske, this is also a good one to combine. This character offers you a stun, decent, but the good thing is the ultimate. The ultimate puts a high tier defense down on the enemy. So let's see here. Yeah, high tier damage taken down, high tier defense boost, high tier defense down puts. The important part is high tier defense down. A debuff that decreases defense by 40%. So imagine you have this character with S, you put it on your team, he's the first one to play. You throw the ultimate, you decrease 40% the enemy defense. Then you attack with the Vampire Bride. This is the second one on the line. She puts a little bit of extra bleed. The enemies already had bleed because Cocytus puts bleed on the advantage. So everyone has 40% of defense down. Your third turn comes. It's Lupusregina turn. You decide whatever you want. Normal attack, area of effect attack to put more bleed, or the ultimate to try to prioritize a specific enemy that you need to kill fast. So you do more damage, you have a chance to trigger bleed, and let's say that it doesn't trigger. Let's say you don't get lucky. Last turn, Cocytus turn, you use the ultimate. You use the ultimate, triggers bleed. What happens when you trigger bleed? Well, you will trigger bleed. The enemy will already have like 4 or 5 bleed stacks on them, maybe even more if you have effect precision. So at least you will have enemies between 4 and 5 stacks. All the enemies. Cocytus triggers bleed. The bleed will take effect. Will have 20% damage increase by the Vampire Bride Captain skill. That is 20% more. From that, 30% of the enemy's defenses are gonna get nullified by the termination set that Lupusregina is gonna have. and another 30% of the enemy's defense are gonna get ignored by the bleed damage because Lupusregina Arc Light. So you're literally ignoring 60% of the enemy defense after reducing 40% their enemy defense, the enemy's defense. So you're literally inflicting as much damage as possible on the enemy. You're maximizing it, like like a lot. But yeah, I'm like a fanboy right now, just because I know the mechanics and I like talking about this game. Uh, let's move on. uh, this guy like here, you can combine Lupus Regina with him because his skill, the Guardian Spirit, all allies gain certain amount of effect precision and effect resistance. You can put it on the team early, mid game, to fool around a bit with this character. And level 5, 35% effect precision on all of his allies. I told you everything with that. Like, it's a very good amount. Um, and others are counter team. Doesn't look like, but counter team. Gasev is a member of the counter team. You can combine them? Yes. It's the recommended? No. Brain is also a member of the counter team. One of the main members of the counter team early game. So he will be good if you want to have a counter team with bleed damage. You can put Brain, Lupus Regina, Jaldabaoth, and whatever else you have, like another counter one or even a healer. So they have an increased chance of counter by Brain skills. They counter, they have a chance to put bleed, and so another one. Let me see. Well, Yaldabot can be combined in either counter and bleed teams. You can combine her with Pandora's Actor, but it will be only to have an offensive healer. So all of your team is offensive and has a chance to be constantly harassing the enemy, but it's not recommended. Choose Pestonia if you have her and you're thinking, oh, Pestonia, Pandora's Actor, Pestonia. Well, yeah, Lupusregina can be combined with everyone on the bleed team, including the ones that doesn't look like they're a part of the bleed team, like SR, Cicera, and Entoma. You can also combine Lupusregina with members of the counter team, like the ones I said. Momon is also part of the counter team, even more if you have an Arclight like this one that increases counter rate by 50% the first 2 rounds. Uh, if you don't have Yaldabaoth, this Shelter is a decent tank because she can put the defense down. If you don't have Yaldabaoth or the Hanuske, she's good. She can put the defense down, so less defense, more bleed damage eventually. And also, between the enhancements that I told you, there was the one that heals the user when you're attacking an enemy that has defense down. So she puts defense down, the enhancement does its thing, Lupus Regina is gonna have more healing. Coquietos, the tank version, he's probably the best member of the counter team. Probably. So if you want a counter team, you will have or you will need to have these Coquietos. Entoma, I already said, she's one of the best that combines with her. And you can also combine 2 more Albedos. The tank Albedo, because she can counter. She offers great protection on the first rounds. She offers control, so you can choose what enemy doesn't get to play the first turn at least. Um, she is great against enemies that do physical damage. So she's not gonna disappoint you. Like literally, she's immortal every time I play her. Another one is Anniversary Albedo. Healing, yeah, always welcome. She puts shields, nice. She puts buff. She can steal buffs from the enemy and put it in an ally, and the ally with the highest attack. So you can kind of like steal another healings or another shields and put it on Lupus Regina. But the best thing will be her ultimate and her passive. Her ultimate increases critical damage and so gives a little bit more of turn meter, so Lupus Regina will do more damage if you have crit, will play faster, but the important part, she puts Indomitable. So if someone throws a deadly combo at her, a nasty combo during the enemy's turn, she's not gonna die because she has Indomitable. She's gonna survive with 1 HP the entire round, even if she should be dead. And she also has the in vulnerabilities. She has two. So if she or another character is gonna die, she puts in vulnerability. She heals them based on the attack that Albedo has and her HP. So she's literally like your get out of jail free card, but can be only used twice for fight. So yeah, remember, Lupusregina can be combined with Kokiotos, both versions of Entoma, with the SR version of Shizu, with the Dead Knight, with the Vampire Bride, with tank and support version of Albedo, also with Brain, with Gasev, with the Robohamuske, with Tank Shelter, with Momon, with Pestonia, with support Shelter, with Yaldabaoth, all of them. My priority, like if I want like a dream bleed team or something like that, it's gonna be Entoma because she offers a ton of damage, and she can also do assist. Of course, this Lupus Regina, uh, Cocytus as the third one, and the fourth one will have to be the Vampire Bride. But there is one problem: the team doesn't have any support or any tank. So if I want to take one out and have like uh, the most effective bleed possible, I will take out Entoma and put Yaldabaoth, or put either Pestonia or Anniversary Albedo. A healer, so when the enemies attack and I don't have a tank, well, I can recuperate a little bit. Or if he's Yaldabaoth, he's gonna protect everything that is in an area of effect attack. So you have a little bit of protection, and the Vampire Bride, as long as she doesn't die, is gonna offer healing to all of her team, increase the bleed damage. Cocytus is gonna increase the bleed damage more. He's gonna be able to trigger it before time. He will do more damage to enemies with bleed. Yaldabaoth is gonna put bleed on everyone. He's gonna heal himself, so you don't have to worry about having a support trying to keep alive the tank or something like that. No, he's gonna be able to hold it fine on his own. And then you have Lupusregina to proc the bleed once again, to put bleed on everyone, increase the cap, the maximum amount of stacks. You can also transfer the bleed from one enemy to another, things like that. If you want an early game bleed team and you have the Lupusregina, I would say Lupusregina, Entoma, uh, the Vampire Bride, because she's an SR, it's very easy to get, and then whatever tank you have, like Dead Knight or something like that. If you have one of the good tanks like Yaldabaoth, um, Shelter, Cocytus, or Albedo, that's it. But yeah, focus on increasing her attack, her HP, a little bit of her speed, crit, or effect precision. You can combine her with a lot of those characters. And after this video, I'm gonna upload some other video where I'm playing on the arena, right here, the one on the left, this one, the combat arena, where I'm gonna be playing here with pure bleed team members and show different compositions. The only thing that is gonna be a little bit off, I said how well Yaldabot plays with her. Thing is, I don't have him level up, as you can see. Well, yeah, level yes, but not the combat power. He's kind of weak for now, so I didn't use it as much, and you don't see a great performance of him. But from Cocytus, the Vampire Bride, and so yes. Also, this Hamuske is not on his best moment. Right now, I just upgraded him to, or her, to 5 stars and got over 20k combat power and so. But I already have in mind the compositions, the order I'm gonna put them and so. And I already recorded some of the combats. So I did it in advance because I wanted to do this video way before, but I was very busy. So I already have some of the videos done, some of the combats, and either both Yaldabaoth and this version of Hamuske do not shine very well because I didn't have the max or even good. Right now, if I level up, the Hamuske is gonna be at a very good power level, over 30k power at the very least. But I didn't did it on the moment. Uh, Next, guys, I'm gonna be doing another of those characters. I'm gonna be doing more Bleed team members because I already have the footage for some of them, like for Kokiotos. So by the time I do the next guides and their practical videos of that, uh, I'm gonna have uh, both Yaldabaoth and the Hamuske upgraded to a more decent level. So they're gonna be able to shine more, and you will be able to see how really they work, and more than just a basic low level kind of league. So yeah, that's all for me. Thanks for hearing my awful voice all of this time, and yeah, I hope it's useful. And if it's not useful, well, anyway, I did it because someone asked me. I found it entertaining, and it serves me to practice a little bit of English. So yeah, goodbye.